This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in to the Triple Option, Paul Catalina, alongside my hetero life mate.
There we go.
Garrett Ross. He and I roll together no matter what. So, Alan says, Paul, you're killing me. I told everybody in the chat room, this will be, let me see if I can use a big $5 word.
Okay. What we got?
A truncated show today.
Truncated.
Truncated show today. We have to record a interview with Dennis Dodd.
Yep.
For the real show. No. For the other show. And so this is a real show. Let's say it's a real show.
Yeah.
But we have to do that interview with Dennis Dodd, and because we have to change sets and get everything set up and do that, and not that I have to go far.
Right,
like literally. Right. Hold on. Let me just count it, Garrett. Why don't you count my steps?
I'm gonna go over under. I'm gonna say about 5 steps.
5 steps. All right. You count them as I make them.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 4.
Yeah.
I was close.
Okay, so that was 4 steps. It's 4 steps that I have to make over there, but there are like 10 steps in the computer.
I got a lot more steps I got to handle.
Yeah, Garrett has more steps. So instead of like freaking out and changing the format of the show, we'll just do a short one today.
Right.
With me and Garrett, and then focus on the other one where I can put my serious face on.
Yes.
Where I can
serious game face.
So I don't know if you were familiar with Brian Williams, that used to be the anchor at NBC until he embellished where he was in certain places during certain conflicts. He's on MSNBC now. I've always been a fan of his. I lost a little respect for the guy when he did that, but he was always very funny. But and I always thought that Tom Brokaw, also a very funny guy, and Dan Rather, very funny guy. Like, all of them very funny.
That's a lost art.
Like, really funny, funny dudes. But, I could see them, I'd watch the news and be like, terror in Somalia today. And you're like, oh, my God, that's terrible. And then, the night later, they're on The Tonight Show and just, yucking it up. And I'm like, man, that's a skill to be able to, just flip it like that. So I do hope that I can have that kind of gravitas. Although what we're doing is not nearly as serious.
No. But it's good to set the bar high. Though.
It is.
I like
that. Smokey's not here today. It's just me and Craig. Tomorrow it'll just be me and you.
Nope.
Because Craig is turning 40, and believe me, you need all the time that you can. I'm telling you, Garrett, because it's coming to you in
1 year.
1 year?
Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year for you. You need some time to process it.
Dude, I felt like 37 was that for me. That hit, and I mentally, I was like, this just feels weird.
Well, here's what will hit you. You have all these visions in your head of what a 40-year-old is when you are younger.
Correct, yeah.
Particularly really younger.
Yeah.
Particularly in your 20s. In your 20s, you think a lot of things are going to happen to you by the time you're 40.
Right.
And some of them have and some of them haven't. Most of the time, I don't think it's a bad thing, unless you're just a complete and total screw-up, and then
That's
which
fair.
it is. But, I don't think it's a bad thing. Life, you can't plan out life.
It comes at you in waves.
Yeah, I mean, you can, Garrett, I don't even need to tell you this, given, what I know about you.
Yeah.
There is nothing there's nothing, I know you very well. There's probably nothing in your life that you would have, if 16-year-old Garrett asked, here are the things that are going to happen, you probably wouldn't have predicted almost any of them.
Probably any of them.
Just being married in general would be the only thing you would have predicted, right?
Man, and I think you could ask some people that'd be skeptical on that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But you could have predicted, one day I'll be married.
Yes, correct.
That's about it. All the things are different. But when 40 hits you and you look at yourself and you don't feel like you're 40 the way you thought 40 was.
Correct. Yes.
When you were younger. That's the thing I think about, because you're like, wait a minute, I'm the same age I used to make fun of my coaches and teachers and and parents and their friends for, and now I'm there, and the first thought you have is, well, I'm not like them, until you realize I kind of am. And not bad ways, but there are things that I'm
there's tendencies. I know me personally, I tend to like look out for other people. I'm more concerned about other people's well-being.
Yeah.
Just little things like that, or seeing a situation where I can see myself there in the past and know what I needed around me, and being able to identify that and try to help somebody, like little things like that. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, it is. It just, and it does. That 40 number hits you in a different way. And I am happier in my 40s than I ever was in my 20s.
My 30s have been the best decade of my
life.
life.
I'm happier. I was happier in my 30s than I was in my 20s. I'm happier in my 40s than I was in my 30s. Like if you approach it right, but there are moments, because we're human, that will just take the wind out of you and make you go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if you don't just go I'm so glad I made it this far, because I was a pretty tame, in my 20s, by a lot of people's standards. I remember thinking my partying at FSU was wild, and then I'd meet other people. I'm like, nah, dude,
a little different.
I got nothing on you. I got nothing on you. You hear celebrity rehab stories, and you're like, geez, how do you have the energy?
Yes.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, no, Fridays were wild. That was it. That was all. But it is for any man, especially because of the stupid risks we take, just in general things. It's amazing we all make it to 40.
No, I agree with that.
It's why I think that in the Constitution, they made Supreme Justices lifetime appointments, because they thought, well, these are all dudes. They're going to
be dead.
One of them's going to say, even a wise justice is going to be like, hey, you guys want to see how far I can jump?
Yeah. Get out there in a duel. What was it? What was the president that got shot in the duel?
Oh, it was Alexander Hamilton was the second. Yeah, somebody's going to die in a duel.
Stuff like that.
Somebody's going to die in a duel. They're not going to be able to get over and shoot them. So yeah, that's why I think that was there. They would never thought that I mean, half these guys will be dead at 38,
exactly.
by typhoid or something stupid or falling drunk out of a window. I mean, hell, Bill Franklin's got syphilis and he's 80.
Exactly.
But anyway, I digress. Big 12 tournament going on right now.
Oh,
and
man.
Kansas took a big loss last night. Not so surprising given that, the dearth of talent. C.J. Moore with a column today about Kansas. We've been talking a lot about the one miss on Arteria Morris.
Right, yeah.
He points out that two of their better recruits also transferred out before the season started.
I didn't realize that.
And Nick Timberlake, who was supposed to be the shooter, shoots 29%.
He's not a D1 player.
I guess not.
Maybe D1 player is not fair.
He's not a Kansas
Power
player.
5 Kansas
He's not a Big 12 player. That's
no,
for sure.
Hell no.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think you could put him on some teams at the Big 12 and he could make a difference. But at Kansas, he's not fit for that role. But yeah, that's one I think they definitely wish they could take back, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and it did work. And here's the deal. Everybody at the Power 5 level wanted him. Everybody wanted him.
Right.
He had his choice of where to go because he was such a dead-eye three-point shooter. But sometimes, I do think that the Big 12, obviously, I mean, there's no doubt that his, the competition was going to go up. But I think they thought by this year he would have it figured out.
Right, yeah.
Where, okay, he can come in and, hit a couple, get used to the speed, the pace, the length, the athleticism. It just didn't happen.
No, he hasn't been able to adapt.
No, he has not been able to adapt. And right now, Texas Tech is about to send BYU back to Provo. But here's the thing. I don't think that this is going to affect anybody's seed all that much. Kansas might have dropped a line after those back-to-back losses, but I do think that you have to consider that they lost to Houston by that much without McCullough and Dickinson for most of the game, and all the game against Cincinnati in a strategy that Bill Self basically said was look, we're going to play the guys that we have, and we're going to get our two best players healthy for the tournament.
Yeah.
Because, look, once the tournament starts, all bets are off.
No, it is. I think if you look right now, the only teams, I think me personally looking at the Big 12 tournament, the only teams that could benefit seed-wise are K-State. If they're able to get the win today, they could, because right now they're on the bubble. They're one of the first four out.
They got to win it.
Yeah, they have to win it.
Yeah.
But I think even if they're able to get a win today and they get knocked out in the championship round, which I don't see happening.
Over a team they just beat.
Yeah, I think that's still, if you look at their quad one wins compared to the losses they have there, their resume speaks for itself. I think that they could get into the tournament. And then the only other team that I'm really looking at is Baylor, right? If Baylor somehow finds a way to win the Big 12 tournament, which they've never done, then yeah, they could probably go up to a 2 seed.
Yeah.
But the rest of the teams right now, man, I think it's just kind of going to sit idle. You are where you are, other outside of the Wildcats and Bears.
Yeah. And look, Texas, if Texas had one less, had they not beaten Baylor or Tech, had that one of those wins gone away.
Right, yeah.
And Tech they beat badly. But had let Baylor game not ended how it ended on a buzzer beater,
yeah,
they might be one of those teams that is on the outside looking in right now. But those Baylor and Tech wins for them are huge.
No, they are.
And look, and say they didn't get either, and this is how tough the Big 12 is. Say they didn't get either, they're in the same position as Kansas State is right now.
Yeah.
Or they would have been going in, and then of course they played an absolutely terrible second half last night.
They were awful.
And lost the game. I think, I don't know, and I'm kind of curious for Texas fans here. Paxton, please chime in on the chat. Are you kind of relieved when the season's, like, will you be relieved a little bit more when the season's over? Because it's been
Texas
so
fan?
up and down? More than you would in a normal situation.
I mean, I don't know if you would necessarily be, I don't know if relieved is the right word. I think there's just so much uncertainty with the future of that program that, like,
I think Rodney Terry they'll probably give him another year, but here's the deal. Louisville, West Virginia, Ohio State, like, there's some big jobs open. And sometimes, like, we've seen that with football, when there are, and a lot of predictions that it's going to be kind of a wild off season.
Well, you got to think, like, so Vanderbilt came open today. They fired Jerry Stackhouse. You got Michigan is more than likely going to come open. So, yeah, there's lots of opportunities out there. Rodney Terry was going to get another opportunity. I don't think he's the right fit at Texas. And just the talent they have on that roster right now, it's inexcusable for them to be sitting where they're at. They should be one of the front runners with that roster in the Big 12. They completely, to me, mismanaged that. Did not live up to the expectations. His whining and the way everything has gone throughout this, now you're going to go into the SEC. I think that they're built better to make that transition, and they could be an impact team next year. But I don't necessarily think that he's built for going into those environments, especially, like, if you have to go into – you're going to face 2 former coaches, right? Like, you got to go to Tennessee and face Rick Barnes, who is beloved there. You got Chris Beard at Ole Miss. Like, I think there's so much going on that behind the scenes, I think people are kind of done with him. Now, I feel like this might be his last one. I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity to go into the SEC.
No. By the way, Paxton says he wants Jamie Dixon, which I would not put past Texas, given the fact that Chris Del Conte, who hired Jamie Dixon at TCU, is the AD at Texas.
That would be an interesting fit. I think another person who could handle it, and you would kind of be taking a flyer on the baggage, but if you could get around that, I think if you got Will Wade away from McNeese State and you brought him over, he's young. You give him the talent, the resources. He's proven that he can win and build programs. Well, I think he would be a hell of a fit for them.
Here's the thing about Will Wade now. What he got in trouble doing.
It's legal.
He can't get in trouble doing it anymore. So, that was the phone call they had recorded of Will Wade was ostensibly terrible.
It was.
He reacted to it terribly.
Yeah, he handled it poorly.
There's no
denying that.
But, if that's the worst thing that Will Wade does, then I'm kind of like,
and he's familiar with the conference already.
Yeah, I'm probably not mad about that, right?
No.
Like, I'm probably not. Like, it wasn't like what Chris Beard got fired for was having a domestic incident with his girlfriend. Whatever happened,
right?
Okay. The point is, and I think this maybe falls on deaf ears on some of the Texas fans now, is that you can't put yourself, when you are one of the highest paid employees of the university, in such a visible position in all of that, especially when you've had to kick a player off the team like he did for the same thing.
Yep.
So you have all that. Whatever happened in that room, the fact that it's even out there about you, that's a failure. That's a failure in leadership, right? If somebody else believes you, wants to give you a chance, that's their decision, like Ole Miss had. But Texas also, and I've said this before, and I do admire this about their administration, they're not perfect in this. By God, they're not perfect. No one is. But you also can't be the pope of the conference for the entire run of it and be going like, well, you're cast out. This is bad. This is bad. Excommunicated. And then when something happens at your place go, well, it's different when it happens here. Well, no, you can't. It's not.
No, they do a good job of keeping a clean house. They really do.
They do. I mean, like, again, not perfect, but better than most. Yeah. And they're able to do so because they have advantages that others don't.
Absolutely.
In that, like, look, if you F up being the coach at Texas, there's a line of people who are happy to take your job from you. And that's true of a lot of places, but
it's different there.
But it's different when you like, well, I know I'm going to have everything I need or want if I do well at this job. So as opposed to somewhere we're like, all right, well, we can have most everybody we want, but not everybody want. Texas usually doesn't have to tell people, like, to turn people away.
Right, yeah.
Like they don't, like if there's somebody really wanted to go there, they'd be there. The only instance I can think of that is when they fired Mac Brown, they struck out all along the way until they got to Charlie Strong, because I don't think they estimated who was the right fit and what was the exact problem for them. And they were just trying to go, okay, Bryles, okay, he said no, Jimbo. Oh, Jim Mora. Like they'll be all
going for the names. Yeah,
they're just doing this, and then they're like, well, Charlie Strong's hot right now. We'll go get Charlie Strong, and then he was a terrible fit. Still a good football coach.
Just not the right program,
but a good coordinator, I think now, but just not for them. And Louisville was probably his best situation, and he walked away from it. Sometimes that happens, but yeah, I just think it's strange. So yeah, and. Jamie Dixon, remember, he was at Pitt before TCU.
Yeah.
And, like, no offense to TCU, but Pitt's a way better basketball job. They've got a history.
Well, I think it was.
It was, and they're good. Like, Jeff Capel's got them good again. They're doing well. They're going to be in the tournament. Garrett very nicely put on FSU getting boat raced by UNC. So
I needed to see your face when you came in, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised.
There's your man right there, Jim Phillips.
Yeah.
Just chopping it up, saying we're the best. Save us.
We're a great conference. I know I should have said this 3 months ago, Jim. Oh, you know how to be on television interviews? Great.
Yeah, he finally learned.
Didn't think you knew that.
A little too late.
Did not think you knew that. Jamie Dixon was 318 and 123 at Pitt. Thank you, Paxton, official statistician of the day here on the Triple Option. But yeah, it's going to be a weird offseason. And I do think especially if the coach that they would really like to target is out there that could be going somewhere else,
right?
That they think they could trump that offer. For example, say the guy you want might be West Virginia's, top choice. Do you go ahead and let Rodney Terry go?
Yeah, I mean,
and then try to get that guy. Like, so say West Virginia and Texas both want Dusty May.
Right.
A lot of people are going to want Dusty May.
Yeah.
We know that. But West Virginia and Texas both want Dusty May. And you're like, well, we better, do you pull the trigger? The other thing that complicates this is, and it's on both sides, the tournament's next week.
That's what I was going to say, because they can get hot and make a run, and then what do? You're just stuck with
Basketball recruiting, fortunately, is not it's labor intensive, believe me. But it's not like football recruiting because, again, you don't have to fill out that many spots. Like, football recruiting needs to be broken up into different waves now because you're filling sometimes 30 spots now. Like, since COVID, it used to be you'd give out 25 scholarships a year, and that was simple times, and it was still really hard. Now, because of the transfer portal and everything else, you might have 41 scholarships to give away.
Yeah.
So you've got to fill those in all the different ways you can. So it's bizarre. All right, Garrett, we're going to go ahead and end the show.
Okay. Yeah, we got about 7
because
minutes.
We've got other stuff to set up. But I do thank you guys for stopping by for a truncated, used it twice. It's 2 $5 words, it's $10 here. And but yes, we're going to interview Dennis Dodd in a second. You'll see that probably pretty early on in 365 Sports Today. Smokey is out. Jack's not here. Jack's on his way to a wedding. So it'll be me and Craig. We've also got Justin Williams of The Athletic, Mickey Spagnola. Craig's Off the Radar, my top 5, which is top 5 West Virginia head coaches. Dusty May, I'll just tell you, West Virginia fans, not on the list, even though I think he's the top target, because I had him on the list for Louisville, and I don't want to do the same list over and over again. Just know that Dusty May is the top target for about 3 or 4 open jobs, including Ohio State probably.
As he should be.
Yeah, as he should be, because he's done well there at Florida Atlantic. All right, I will see all you guys at 3. Thanks for watching. This is the Triple Option on 360.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks,